Hi guys, it's Bethany, your crafty BFF, coming on today with a tutorial. This mini album is a 6.5 by 8.5 inch cover. The pages are about 6 by 8, and I designed this mini album all by myself. I came up with the measurements and built it from the ground up. And the reason I did that is because I had these collection kits from Echo Park. They come with a 12 by 12 element sticker sheet, and they come with 12 by 12 double-sided papers. That's a lot of 12s. Anyways, and I had some from Cartabella as well, and I was trying to use them to fill out to mat some of my albums, and I just didn't have enough paper, and I felt like I was using too much solid color cardstock to, substitute. And anyways, I had to end up ordering more of those, a second of those collection kits, and I decided I didn't want to do that for the ones that I had left. So I said, let's figure out how to maximize the use of this paper and design an album around it. So that's what I did, and I figured that if you cut it at 8, you'll have 12 inch by 8 inch pieces of paper, and then if you cut that in half, you'll have 24 8 by 6s, and then you'll have 12 inch by 4 inch left over that you can use for to cover smaller areas or to paper piece with. And so that's what I did, and I'm going to show you how I did that today. So I'm going to walk through this album with you real quick, and then we'll get started, just so you can see what we're going to make. Like I said, this cover is 6.5 by 8.5. It's got a 2-inch spine. I matted with gold foil here on the front. I used a scrap here in the center, cut it by 3 by 4, and then used one of the stickers from the sticker sheet to make my cover. I also had this little rainbow sticker that I propped up on chipboard there on the spine for some decoration. And there's the back. I use seam binding for a closure, but you don't have to add a closure, because as you can see, without it being tied, it lays flat. It doesn't, it's not going anywhere. So the seam binding is optional. I just like the way it looks. When you open her up here, there is like a 3/4 inch opening to the side, and it reveals the 6 by 8 area for photos. Oh, a little bigger than, well, the paper is 6 by 8, that's for sure. On page 2 here, we have this side pocket with this small side closure that has a mat inside. As you can see, I did use some of that solid color cardstock and some of my scraps to make it not so boring. Instead of just having all solid color cardstock, I thought it added a nice little touch. Every page has magnets on it. That's an option as well. Some people don't like to use magnets, and that's okay. I like them because it keeps everything nice and tight and flat, and nothing's going to fall out. I am actually short a couple sets of magnets, but I do have some coming from Amazon today, so hopefully they get here before we need them. And each of these are pocket pages, so you have a mat in here. These mats I made a little too big, so I revised it for the tutorial. On pages 2 and 3 here, we have these, again, 3/4 openings that flip open, and you have all this area here. These kind of layouts I love for storytelling, you know, to tell the story about a day or whatever, or a trip that you took. Here is the second pocket page with the mat. On page 4, we have a bottom pocket with a small flip up here. It also has a 5x7-ish mat inside. You can see I paper pieced here and here on the inside of this flap because I didn't have a piece big enough to cover. So there's that. We may not be paper piecing in the exact same places when we get to that, but this gives you an idea of how little I really did have to use compared to some albums. So this is the double accordion page that flips open like so. So you have all the front. I did paper piece on these 2 pieces and on all of the back side. Like I said, I don't think it looks bad. And once you put the photos there, it's going to look really cute. Here's the third pocket page with the mat. Page, what is this, 6, has a opening at the top, and then it opens at the bottom, and it has a 4x4 pull down waterfall. I will show you how to make that, and I'll also in the description box link the tutorial that I always used before I learned how to do it, so that, because I think she explains it really well, and I don't know how I'm going to explain it, but we'll get there. And then lastly, just like the front cover, the back cover has this 3/4 flap that opens like so. So that's it for the walkthrough. Let's go over our supplies that you're going to need. I have a list here beside me. You're going to need your paper trimmer, your scoreboard. You're going to need your tools. I always like to have a ruler. That's handy. A scoring tool, a bone folder. And by the way, I think every crafter should treat themselves to a Teflon bone folder. If you don't have one, treat yourself. It's the best tool. I love it. If you don't have a Teflon bone folder, you need some kind of scraper to help you get the glue spread when you put your paper down. You're going to need a pokey tool. You're going to need some scissors. And optionally, well, this is my right angle tool. I will link this in the description box down below. It's for sale on Etsy, and it's kind of pricey, but it's also one of my favorite tools. Optionally, magnets, a corner rounder, and your seam binding. And where did I put them? Okay. And optionally for your pull down waterfall, I like to secure it with these little brads. I get these from Hobby Lobby. It's not absolutely necessary because you can glue it down, but I think the brads just give you that extra protection from it coming out when you're pulling up and down on it all the time. Okay, then optionally the gold foil for your matting your cover. Then you're going, and then as far as like the supplies for building, let me scoot this over here. You're gonna need some chipboard. I have 2 pieces of 8.5 by 6.5 and 1 piece of 8.5 by 2. You're going to need 65-pound cardstock. This is the one that I use from Michael's. They also sell one similar at Joann's that I get sometimes. And then you're going to need 110-pound cardstock. This is the one that I use from Michael's. And this is what I use for the pages and the flips. The 65-pound is what I use to wrap my chipboard, and make my hinges. And then, like we already talked about, you're going to need a 12 by 12 double-sided collection kit. So if you guys are ready, let's jump in. I have done as much prep work as I could. I cut my chipboard and I added the double-sided tape to the back. I have all my paper cut and ready to go. I'm hoping I planned everything well, but we will see as we go along. You're going to need 3 pieces of 8.5 by 11 65-pound cardstock. I always emphasize that it's important to wrap your chipboard in 65-pound because it's more flexible. If you do it with anything heavier, it will likely crack, and nobody likes a cracked photo album. So I added my double-sided tape, and I also put down a little bit of glue to help give me a little extra time to make sure I line everything up properly. And we press down. I'm going to use my bone folder. Make sure it's nice and stuck down. Take off the back of the tape again. Add just a little bit of glue to give me some extra time. And line it up. See, look, I didn't line it up perfectly the first time. You don't want any of that sticking out. There we go. There we go. Now it's lined up. I whispered crap because I got some of my glue on my desk. Anyways, okay, now that we have our pieces glued together, we can go ahead. Oh, sorry. I'm probably going to bump this a lot because I've got it right in the middle of my workspace and I'm not used to crafting on camera with a big old phone holder in my way. So just bear with me as I am still new to crafting on camera. I appreciate it. Okay, I took my tape off my spine and I am adding my glue to give me extra time to line it up. Also, 2 adhesives makes sure everything stays where it should be. You're going to line your chipboard up. You want to make sure that your spine is in the center of these 3 pieces of paper as possible. You want to line it up at the top and the bottom so that you have about 1 inch on top and on bottom. And that looks pretty good, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and put it down. I'm going to varnish with my bone folder. Then I'm going to do my right piece. Oop, look, I'm just throwing stuff. We don't have time for a lot of cleanup, so I'm trying to go quickly. I put glue on top of the double-sided tape and in between. It's just my preference. You do you. Like I said, with the double-sided tape, I just like to give myself more time to line it up correctly. Because with the double-sided tape, it's like you got 1 chance, and once it's down, it's down. You want to leave 1/8 of an inch between your chipboard. This is 2 pieces of thin chipboard glued together, and that is about 1/8 of an inch. So I keep this here to help guide me. And we're going to line it up. There we go, and put it down. I always like to make sure you know that these where we taped glued the paper together, you want to make sure that those are nowhere near your spacing. Like if the where the papers meet were to line up with the spaces in between your chipboard, it would not be good. It would make it fall apart. So I always make sure that they're, on in the middle of the big pieces of chipboard, nowhere near, where the chipboard meets. See, I did it again. I bumped it again. Sorry. It is like right in the middle of where I'm working, but okay, I'm gonna line my little handy dandy scrap piece of chipboard up to give me my 1/8 of an inch. And lay it down. I can put that back up. And I'm gonna varnish with my bone folder. Next we are going to trim the sides because we don't need this much paper. You need about 1 inch. I like to leave about 1.5 inches to make sure that my corners are going to get covered, but they say you only need 1 inch. I'm doing 1.5 inches-ish. Doesn't have to be a pretty cut. Nobody's going to see it. Wow, that's really not a pretty cut. But like I said, nobody's going to see it. This is where I use my right angle tool to make sure that I'm not cutting too much off of the corner. You want to leave just like here, you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch of the paper hanging over the corner so that it folds over nicely. About like that. These scissors are not the greatest. Little cheap $5 scissors from Hobby Lobby. Wow, these are really not doing well. I'm going to switch to my handy dandy Tim Holtz scissors. Okay. Much better, cleaner cut. There we go. Now we are going to carefully start folding our 65-pound cardstock up around the chipboard. Very gently so that it does not crack. I just start working it in and then eventually fold it over. Like to do the top and bottom first. Don't know why, I just do. So we're carefully folding that over. And now the sides. Now that we have them worked in, we're going to add our double-sided tape around the chipboard. Excuse me. I add 2 pieces. I add one on the very outside edge, right here along the edge, and then I add another piece right up along the chipboard. I'm going to flip this upside down and do the top. This is my 1/2 inch thickness double-sided tape. I get this from, you can get it from Hobby Lobby or from Michael's. It's a little cheaper at Hobby Lobby. There we go. Now our sides, like once again, we're doing the outside edge and right up against the chipboard. This, I will put glue where there is no tape, because it gives me that extra time to lay it down straight. Oh, there we go. Dang on tape. Keeps ripping all weird. There we go. Excuse me. I just took a drink real quick. I'll probably do that a few times because, you know, I get thirsty. Where did my pokey tool go? I don't know, but I have another one up here. Okay. We're going to start taking off the back of the tape. And adding our glue. Not everybody does glue and tape. I do it. I just like the extra security knowing everything's going to stay put. So now that the glue's down and you've worked in your cardstock, you can use your bone folder to varnish. I feel like I'm moving really slow today. Probably because I haven't been sleeping well, but you know, that's life. Okay. Remove the back of the tape, add glue. Lay it down on the chipboard and varnish. No, I didn't varnish my double-sided tape. That's why I'm having so much trouble getting it up. Before you lay your sides down, you want to, I'm going to try to show this so you can see this little lip that hangs over. You want to push that in with your fingernail or your bone folder, whatever you prefer. This just makes sure that it doesn't get really sharp and poke anybody, because we don't want to get poked, because the corner gets really sharp if you don't tuck this little thing in. So I hope you can see that. It's just tucked in right there and right there. And then we're going to lay it over. And I can't help that my desk shakes when I do this look. Now I'm going to varnish this tape down, and it's going to be a lot easier to get up. See, look at that. Do yourself a favor and always varnish. Makes your life a little easier. Adding my glue. I'm tucking in my corners. Like so. I know it's hard to tell what people are talking about when they say to tuck in these corners, so I try to show it well, but it's not always the best. Okay, now we're gonna lay it down and varnish. Okay, now I do not want you to do anything with this until that glue is completely dried, because trust me, if you start to bend it before the wet glue is dried, you will have this can tear, it can crack, whatever. You don't want to do that, because then it's like you have to start over. So while that is drying, we're oops, sorry, I knocked it again. I know what we can do. Sorry, I actually forgot a part. That's not a good start to this tutorial, is it? And first of all, I forgot to open my 110-pound cardstock, but you can get your 110-pound cardstock and cut the pieces that are going to go over your hinge and then over your chipboards. So the first, the middle piece, we're gonna cut it to 4 by 8.25. This is the one part I forgot. Dagnabbit. And here I thought I was being a professional. So we're gonna do 8.25. 8.25. By 4. And then we're gonna do, oh, my ruler fell. 8.25 by 6.25. We're going to do 2 pieces of 8.25 by 6.25. And those will cover our chipboard. This is the only cutting I'm going to be doing on camera. I have everything else ready to go. So 8.25. Let me make sure I did that right. Yeah. By 6.25. And while you cut those out, this should be dry now. Now, I do not recommend that you use your like metal score tool to do this part, because the paper can be finicky and rip. I like to use like the bone folders that come with, you know, the We Are Memory Keepers scoreboards and scoring tools, because it's soft and thin. And what I'm doing is I am just, where the crease is, I am scoring into the paper. so that we can start to bend the book together. So I like to do this. It just gives it a good start, and then you can slowly start to bend the covers. Okay, now the piece that, here, let me write this down. This piece here is 4 inches by 8 1/4, and these pieces are 8 1/4 by 6 1/4. Sorry, my handwriting is so messy when I'm in a hurry. Okay, so for the 4 by 8 1/4 is the one that we're going to put over the spine. Just glue, you want to glue this down. We're going to add some glue right here to help keep it from bubbling up when we fold it. Sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to it, but this is what Rosa Kelly does, and so I listen to her because she's the expert in the field. Okay, so we're going to place this down here over the spine, like so. Make sure it's center as best you can. Mine's not perfect. It doesn't have to be. I'm going to varnish this down good. And while we wait for that to dry, we can go ahead and glue these down. Now these, you want to make sure that this piece here and the back cover piece does not go over the score line where the book bends, because then you're going to have just too much paper there on the bend, if that makes sense. So I made it 6 1/4, so it should not go over that that line. You just line it up here with the edge, the outer edge of the book. Man, my glue does not want to stay on the stand today. I'm going to just varnish that down. We're going to add this piece. I hope you guys don't mind long tutorials, because this is going to be a long one. In fact, it's going to be a 2-parter, because we're going to build the book and the pages, and then we're going to come back to mat it with the 12 by 12 collection kit, because it could easily be a 2-hour video. Okay. Now, don't bend this yet. Wait for everything to dry, and we'll come back to it. Or we will work on our hinges while it's drying. For this album, you need a piece of 8 inches by 8 inches of 65-pound cardstock for your hinges. Let me get my notes here so I know where to score. Okay, like I said, 8 inches by 8 inches. And we're going to score at 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, and 6.5. Now the front and back are not even. You can see I have 2 inches here and a little less than 2 inches on the end. That's perfectly okay. These are just the wings to our hinges that are going to help Oh no. I messed up. Shouldn't have glued those down yet. It's okay. We'll just use the designer paper to glue them down. You guys probably don't know what I'm talking about, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, we're gonna just move along because I'm not starting the tutorial over. What we're gonna do is start to bend your hinges. The first one is the wing, and then we have a gusset. So then you're gonna do the second and third score, and you're gonna bend those together, and then you're gonna skip one and bend the next two together. Skip one and bend the next two together. Okay, and then you can go back and fold your valleys. Oh, I hope this makes sense. I'm not good at explaining the hinges part, but what you want to do is make sure that you varnish really well both directions. There's that one. We're going to varnish down this way and this way. You should have 3 hinges. Okay, so you should have your 2-inch wing. You should have a 1/2-inch gusset, then your 2 1/2 inches hinge, a 1/2-inch gusset, the 2 1/2-inch hinge, a gusset, and then your third 2 1/2-inch hinges, and then you have this other wing here at the end. Okay, so that's the hinges, and what we're going to do is flip them over, and we're going to add our double-sided tape. No. We're just going to glue these. You just have to glue them. Some people like to use double-sided tape, and you can, no problem. You just need to glue one side of the hinge and then fold the hinge over so that it sticks together. I like to varnish it down real well, and you can see that the hinge is glued together now. So then we go to we skip the gusset, and we go to the second hinge, add our glue, and varnish, and finally the third hinge, right? And don't forget to skip your gusset. I can't find the fine tip point to my my new glue bottle. I don't know. It was on my desk when my daughter was near my desk yesterday, and then when I walked away and I came back, and lo and behold, it was gone. And she doesn't know where it went either. Okay, now we're going to add our double-sided tape to each side of the hinges. This is a 3/8 of an inch tape. It fits perfectly on the 1/2-inch hinge. What you want to do when you're laying your tape down is make sure that you stay away from the bottom. You're doing the very edge of the hinge so that when we put the page in, it has plenty of room to move without hitting the back of the hinges. So putting it right here on the very edge. I hope you can see that. I'll show you in just a moment up close. You can see I did not put put it up here. I tried to get it as close to the edge as possible. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm explaining it well enough. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to go ahead and varnish down the tape to the hinges. And then they're good and ready for when we put them in the book. Now on the back, some people just glue, some people just do double-sided tape. I do both because I've tried every which way, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes the binding will start to pull away from the spine, and I'm not okay with that. I need my book to stay together, so that is why I do both double-sided tape and glue for this part. I do not want my pages falling out whatsoever. I'm going to use my big 1-inch tape here on the wings. And then I'm going to use my 3/8 of an inch tape on the gussets. You don't want your tape to be on the score lines. I don't know why. That's just what they say. Okay, now that we have the double-sided tape on the fronts of our hinges and here on the back where it's going to attach to the book, we can make sure you varnish everything down well and then remove the back of the tape. And go ahead and get your cover ready to place your spine inside. And actually, before we finish taking the tape off of there, now that it's good and dry, is when you want to again take your bone folder and go on this in between the chipboard pieces to get a good score started, so that you can then bend it up. Scoring there will help it prevent from tearing when you bend. So here we go, gently folding over, and this side. Go. Don't stick to that. Okay. Sorry guys, I've made a couple mistakes and I apologize. I'm still new to this. I mean, I made a rookie mistake by gluing these 2 pieces of paper down before I put the spine down, but it's okay. If you did not glue them down yet, make sure you lay your spine, your hinges down first, and then you're gonna lay these pieces, the 8 1/4 by 6 1/4 pieces down to help keep your wings nice and secure in the in the book. You can if you did already do that, you can either just go ahead and add another piece of the 110-pound cardstock on top. I mean, nobody's going to know that it has 2 layers. That's what I'm going to do. Or you can just use your design paper to help hold it down. I think that would be just fine. But like I said, I'm kind of a perfectionist about stuff like that. And so I'm going to just put 2 more pieces of the 110-pound down. Now, what I'm doing here is making sure that not only am I in the center, top and bottom, but my hinges are in the center of the spine, and this first score here, this gusset score, should line up with the first where the chipboard meets that score. So there we go. I've laid it down. I'm varnishing. And I like to make sure that my hinges are really flexible and they go back and forth. Okay. Now that that's down, we're going to do the score again. Right where the chipboard meets. You just want to be really careful and make sure that it doesn't crack. The scoring helps it to bend better.